Ну что ж, всем доброго времени суток, с вами Drummir или просто Иван, и мы продолжаем играть в упоротую игру, где мы играем рабом. Опять это, я уже это видел много раз. Так, включаем компьютеры, дабы не жали энергию. О! Опа-на! Оба-на, оба-на, оба-на. Input. Не понял, тут пароль какой-то просит он. Я не понял, я пароль хочу ввести. Пароль просит. Окей, давайте сейчас тупо... Там опять двери? А, нет, есть. Так. Все, будем слушаться его. Да, хозяин. Окей.
Yet there was not a single person here either.
Feeling
a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Да, окей. Так. Что это?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back
Нет,
on track.
все, уходим отсюда. В чулане ничего не было.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his
Окей,
boss's
давайте в
office.
кабинет начальника. Мы же слушаемся своего хозяина, правильно? Так. Окей. Окей.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him?
Хозяина нет.
What he could not
Мы можем
have
делать
known
все, что
was that the
захотим.
keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Свобода выбора. Я угадаю этот пароль. Блин.
Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that the combo was 2845, it would be another story entirely. But no, this is what he was going to do instead.
Так, 5, 4, 8, 2. Ну окей. Да, хозяин?
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Окей. Стрелка вниз. Поехали. Воу-воу-воу, куда он так сильно разгоняется-то? Так.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Так, пошли.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Станция управления сознанием. Ну... Эврика.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Я знаю, это комната с кучей мониторов, которые бы приходили вон оттуда, оказались вот здесь. Я знаю эту комнату. Это что? Включить видеокамеры.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. the lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Карточка с
This
человеком.
mind control facility, it was too horrible
Так,
to believe it
427,
couldn't be
427,
true.
427,
Had
4...
Stanley really been under someone's
427,
control all this
ага.
time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job?
Вон мы.
That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Окей, давайте на
No.
лифте покатаем.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control.
Да, мы сейчас
Never.
врежемся.
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions.
Okay.
Happy or sad or content.
Зеленая
Walking,
кнопка.
eating, working,
Желтая
all of
кнопка.
it monitored and
Зеленая
commanded from
кнопка.
this very place.
Синяя
And as the
кнопка.
cold reality of his past began to sink
Синяя.
in, Stanley
Красная.
decided that this
Синяя.
machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Почему все выключено? Так неинтересно. Кнопка. Красная кнопка. Ну, пурпурная. Желтый, зеленый. Не работают кнопки, что за бред? Плохие кнопки. О, белая кнопка. $5 дайте, пожалуйста. Где $5? Окей. Мы пришли в кинотеатр. Что там за команда, интересно? Увеличить можно как-то? Я не вижу.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his
Я не вижу,
obligation
что там за
to put an
команда. Там
end to
какие-то
this
команды введены.
horrible place
А там что
and to
введено?
everything it stood for.
Что там? Не вижу, все равно что-то сливается. Включить систему, окей?
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Да.
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. This is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stan? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But
Как скажешь, хозяин, я не буду использовать больше это.
More time to talk about you, about
5.
me, where we're going. What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened.
Красную кнопку нажать.
I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free.
Нажимаю
Of
красную
course,
кнопку.
that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing
Sure.
buttons endlessly and then dying alone.
Черт.
Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside,
4.
or I let it burn to a crisp.
Я
I have
опять
to say
4
this,
нашел.
though, this version
Осталось
of
3,
events
2,
has been
1.
rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
Что делать?
I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what?
Зараза!
I'm going to put some extra time
Игнорщик
on the
хренов,
clock, why
блин.
not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley?
Цифру 3
Is it
надо
that you have
найти.
no idea where you're going
Я
or
знаю, где
what you're
4 и
supposed to
5
be doing
находятся.
right
Мне цифру
now?
3 надо
Or
найти.
did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten?
Я нашел.
One solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
1, 2.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along.
3.
It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever up.
Я так не играю. Не, ну серьезно, блин. Я так долго парился с этой головоломкой. О, куча бумажек теперь. Интересно.
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
Окей. Давайте пойдем посмотрим, что там происходит.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ладно, хозяин. Блин, там закрыто, там неинтересно. Закрыто, закрыто, закрыто. Угу, ты меня обманул.
Yet
Ты
there was
плохой
not a
хозяин.
single person here either.
Ты
Feeling a
плохой
wave
хозяин.
of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he'd come into a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all.
Да я хожу по кругу, что за бред, блин. Я не хочу. Уже третий раз здесь хожу. Exit.
For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
Конечно,
No,
повторяли.
Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange, this can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined
Игра
himself
тролит,
flying
жестко
and began
причем.
to gently float above the ground.
Нет,
Then he imagined himself
Почему я
soaring
такой
through
высокий?
space on a magical star field, and it too appeared.
Ух,
It was so
ё-моё.
much fun, and Stanley
Ура!
marveled that he had still not
Блин.
woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd, and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his
Игра
life.
троллит меня.
Now hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley.
Почему я назад не могу
He was certain
пойти?
beyond a doubt that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he
Все,
was
сядем и
in
будем сидеть.
control.
Ну его
That this
нафиг, не
was a
хочу
dream.
ходить, я же
So he
замучился
closed his
ходить
eyes gently,
по кругу.
and he invited himself to wake up.
Ура!
He felt the cool
Спим!
weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up.
Свежий воздух за пределами.
I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly
Хочу
the way
своего
it's always been.
хозяина.
My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be
Ты
fine.
нормален, да. Ты работаешь на хозяина.
I am okay.
Черт! Это не получилось.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am
Я есть
real.
хозяин.
Please,
Я
just
есть
someone tell
офис,
me
я
I'm real. I
настоящий.
must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
Ты раб.
And everything went black.
Тогда стало темно.
This is the story
Сколько
of a
же
woman named
комфортная
Mariella.
игра, которая умеет троллить. Это история о женщине
Mariella
по имени
woke up on a day
Мариэлла.
like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of
Ух
work.
ты!
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind.
Пролезем.
I know what is real and
Что
what
нет.
isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Она скоро вызвала, и что-то как-то пропустил момент. Да ну ё-моё. Опять эта игра затроллила меня. Ну что ж такое-то? Ладно, давайте, пожалуй, на этом все. Всем спасибо за просмотр. Подписывайтесь на канал, пишите комментарии, ставьте лайки, блин. Пока пойду. Всем спасибо и всем пока-пока-пока.